This isn't even a frustration. This is an ick. When the plane lands and someone on the plane claps. When you land and they clap, I'm like, what were you expecting to happen? Like, were you not
Just doing your job?
Were you not expecting to
I was
make
coming
it?
back from Thailand, and the day that we left, I ate this octopus because I was like, bit of street food in Thailand. Like, how good? It's got to be sweet. Mate, this thing fucked my whole life. I had to move to the back of the plane because I was in shambles. I was like, I had to be next to the toilet. I tried to land in the toilet. Mate, I'm not going to lie. When we landed that plane, I clapped.
No, you didn't.
I clapped because I was dying. I said, get me off. I said, I need to get off now. My insides are cooked.
Oh, you didn't do that.
I sat there like this.
Such an ick.
Get me off. Are we on? Right. Check.
Are you
It's
going to
only-
start? Because
No, I was about to throw on it.
Sorry.
Ready? Check. We're back with someone very special that's going to intro episode 17.
Fuck, how many did I miss?
Bro, you were gone.
Gone, man.
Forever.
Back.
He's back, baby.
He's back in action. Feels good to have the trio back. Too.
17.
Get the boys back together. Claire tried to come in a couple of times there. Brushed her. He's up.
Sorry, Claire. Got some work to do.
Yeah. What were we up to when you left?
2.
Yeah, 3. 12, 11.
Yeah, 11, I think.
Yeah.
There's been a couple in there.
Well, come on. Give us something.
I feel like I'm doing this for the first time. You know what I mean?
You get nervous?
Think about all these people, the millions that listen every single week and they haven't heard your voice. Intro this shit. 17.
Fuck, what do I used to say? I can't even remember.
Doesn't even matter.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Episode 17 of the Hybrid HQ podcast.
Oh, God.
True, doesn't it?
It does.
We struggled. We were talking
here. We were a bit jerky. Didn't know how to get it out.
talking about shit. We're talking about all sorts of stuff, but nothing like that.
Yeah, if you have
So simple.
listen to that last episode, it's when we say shit chat, like the first, I think, maybe 6 minutes, it was actually talking about poo.
Yeah, it's poo.
Yeah.
Actually, proper poo.
This is what happens when you leave. We just fucking fall to shambles.
How was it, mate? How was Bali? How was the trip?
It was great. I got a little bit tan. Probably not tan enough for my liking, but I did get out of the sun after like an hour every day because I was just sweating.
You definitely got some good colour.
But it was good. Made me realise that I was probably wasting time when I was back here. Like you sort of want to get everything done and then go do things throughout the day. So I was still getting everything done. Like client feedback was really good still, but I was probably spending half the time. So it sort of made me realise that I could probably take on a lot more than I thought.
There's actually a law for that, and I don't think I could be wrong with this if it's Parkinson's law. It's one of the laws.
disease?
No, definitely not Parkinson's disease. It might be Parkinson's law, where it essentially says that the exact amount of time you have to finish a project will be the time that it takes. You know, like you have an assignment. If you've got a month, it takes a month. If it's due in a day, it takes a day. That
was me, but like due Monday, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Oh, yeah. That was a high school special, but it worked, kind of.
Well, got us to here.
The work got done. So
The work got done. Results?
Yeah.
But when you're on holidays, it is easier to do that because you want to obviously go and spend the day doing things. So you set 2 hours in the morning, 2-3 hours, and get it done. Makes a difference.
I do that even at home. Not all the time, but if I know there's a lot to get done, just time block it. Like set a timer for an hour, and you know that it's that hour that you got to work with before you either having a break, or maybe it's only that hour that you got to work with. Put that timer on there, and it's almost that like a little bit of like positive anxiety that you're like, all right, this is all I've got.
I'm not going to name names, but a very good friend of mine, they know who they are in the fitness industry, once had a bunch of programming to do. So they went home and ate an edible, and he looked at the time and he's like, well,
But it kicks in.
yeah, and he's like, I've got X amount of time to finish this programming until it kicks in. And I was like, that's smart.
Oh, that's ballsy.
That's good footy.
What about if you don't knock over the work and that little sucker kicks in? Oh, baby, you're doing some... Those
could double
clients are doing
down.
some weird shit.
You might be able to double down, but the creativity might get even better.
Or you might just completely crumble.
Completely
Clients
crumble
the next day. It's like, hey, why am I doing leg press but on my head?
Yeah, and like leg press for every exercise. Oh, we're just building your quads. That's
6
it.
by 40 leg
Yeah.
press,
German volume training times 12.
10 RPE.
All right, well, it's good to have Pierso back. I miss that voice on this podcast. I miss in the gym, miss your face in there as well. So the whole gang's back now, which is cool.
Felt good in there today.
Yeah.
Except for my training, but
It's good to have an attractive face back on the podcast. We were talking about having to get rid of people because of that, but we
think
actually
it's us.
realised that we suck and we're
We need to
ugly.
go.
Ugly face.
All right, we're going to start a little bit differently here. So phase 2 of our hybrid program, which is our middle membership tier. We finished up that phase last week and we had some pretty cool highlights, which by the time this episode drops, you'll be able to see on our Instagram page. But yeah, I wanted to highlight just a few of the members that did really well.
Love it. Go for it, mate.
So first one is Tommy Wooldridge.
Tommy the Beast, Quad King.
Quad King, Silent Assassin, the Lolly Bringer. Not the gummies, like we spoke about before,
no,
but the
bad.
normal lollies.
Normal lollies.
Week 1, 3 sets of 80 kilos on his trap bar deadlift. The final week, I said the weight. The final week, this motherfucker, this beast has jumped up to 140 kgs for 8 reps. So it's very similar rep range. Actually a set increase in volume. Beast.
Love it.
just ripping.
He's coming into phase 3 hot.
Just
sticks,
ripping.
man. Hot
This
sticks.
next one is probably my favorite. So Matt joined us actually at the start of phase 2. Matt and Megan, beautiful couple. On the hack squat. So previous back injury. So we sort of dealt with that as he came in. Been working around it a little bit. The hack squat's been great for him. So 3 sets of 40 kilos with 10 reps in week 1. Week 6, 4 sets, 8 reps with a top set of 120 kilos.
Absolute beast.
He's the best.
Doing it pain-free now too.
Yeah, I know.
For the most part, yeah. He's only had a couple of things pop up, but for the most part, he's been cruising through with
Smashing it.
no pain, which is the most important part, I would say.
And no missed sessions from both Matt and Megan throughout the full first phase that they were with us.
The whole 6 weeks.
Yep.
Whole 6 weeks.
Really.
Better than my consistency. Love it. All right. Megan, which is Matt's partner that we just touched on. Romanian deadlift. There's a few movements for Megan that we were just working around a little bit and just building some confidence in. But this was an awesome one. So starting with the bar, final week of the block, moving up to 40 kilos, which is a big jump for an RDL, which is awesome. Especially that early on with, understanding that movement.
I mean, teaching, hinge pattern like that, typically with a beginner is usually pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I would say that's arguably one of the hardest for us to teach to beginners early on.
Yeah, it's just not as natural.
It's just not as natural of a movement. So to be able to progress that quickly is fantastic.
I actually saw it last night. She was in the class. We've started phase 3 now, but working through her barbell bent over rows. Obviously, the start of that movement's, hinging, getting yourself into that position. Yeah, man. And she was just straight into it. Awesome. Last one, Molly, the weapon. Come on, give us a smile there, Jay. Look how proud you are.
Cheeky little girl.
We are throwing out for the Nordic hamstring curl, which is she's just ridiculous at it.
Ridiculousness.
Ridiculousness.
Your word, yeah.
It's the word I've actually got there. Just ridiculousness. Beast, man.
Very well done, Mozart.
Go Moz.
Yeah, fuck, that's a shit movement, eh?
Yeah.
Sorry, you got a bit of history. They're one of the best movements, but they just never get better.
No.
Especially with these old
If you're doing consistently enough, they do, but they're just hard, man. Although the GHD is harder, I find.
Well, the GHD's in the new phase now with the transfer over. But what I've actually really liked with the Nordic hamstring curls, they've always had a massive bias in more specifically like performance-based programs and especially working around with athletes. But when you actually break down the movement itself and look at the stimulus that you can get through the hamstring
standpoint,
massive. And it's relatively easy to teach. Like when you set it up and you literally tell someone, drop down, fight the resistance.
Yep.
Like it's pretty straightforward and there's so many ways that you can regress it too. And the easiest way using bands and changing the resistance of the bands. That's why I love implementing it. Like we always go typically towards that heavy hinge of like an RDL pattern, which is still great. But in terms of like getting a stimulus for individuals, Nordics have been almost like a staple in our programs lately. And I love putting them in our programs too. I know you're big one, Pierce, on it as well, putting it in your clients' programs too. But yeah, Nordics, don't sleep on them.
Yeah, even from like a mind-muscle connection standpoint, there's a lot of people that struggle to feel their hamstrings engaging in certain exercises, but mate, you throw someone on a Nordic, even assisted, so everyone can do that, right? They're seen as a very advanced movement, like body weight, of course, but chuck a band on there, get a feel for it. Like if you want your fucking hamstrings firing, like even chuck that at the start of a session, they'll be on.
And if you haven't tried them, come to Hybrid Plus Phase 3 and you'll see that's some.
We'll let you jump in.
We'll let you jump in, have a look.
We're full, but we'll let you jump in.
A session or two.
Morning people, come train.
Please.
The Arvo classes are always chockers.
That's weird, hey, that I find. I'd much rather train in the morning.
Yeah, like especially a group environment. Like people are still going, but it's just busy. Like it's more popular.
I think it's easy. I mean, yeah, it makes sense in the afternoon, but I feel like it's easier to get up in the morning if you know other people are going to be there to train with.
Yeah, true.
Like that's got to be the biggest find.
Just get over and done with, but like,
yeah. Well, I ran this morning early, which was wild. It was like still dark, man. By the time I got back, here we go.
He's got something to say. I was just going to say it's a bit of a fucking hero, aren't you?
What? Going for a run. Doing what my coach tells me to do? Yeah, fuck.
Well, I got up this morning and ran, so I don't know what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
Not getting up. But
Pull your fingers out.
it was a beautiful morning to run, though.
Yeah, it was dark when I got home still. So
it's so dark in the morning. It's ridiculous.
But I've been very appreciative of my living conditions. Every morning, it's like the sunrise has just been gorgeous, and we're lucky to sort of see it from where we live, which is nice. So I appreciate that this morning.
So this actually relates to you very well. I mean, I had to do it for a little bit. Well, this is exactly why I want to dive into it.
6 to 8, was it?
6 to 8. Who's counting? Traveling and training. I want to get your thoughts, both your thoughts on this when you guys are away when you're traveling and how much you're training, how often, whether you do it, whether you don't. Any recommendations, any advice, everything around it. Because obviously with training, we push consistency, and usually with consistency that comes with a routine. But when you're traveling, it's different accessibility to gyms. You're on holidays, you're chilling, diet's not the same, etc., etc. So traveling and training. Pierso, do you want to take it away for us, considering you've been away for the good part of the year?
God, it wasn't great for me, to be honest.
It couldn't have started any better.
Yeah.
That is so good.
I could have lied. No.
What would you advise people?
Yeah. Well, that was the sort of thing though. Like I had the plan to go over and sort of chill out for a bit. I wasn't really putting too much emphasis on, like I didn't have a program written. Didn't really have any goals set for while I was over there. So I just wanted to enjoy myself. But if I was to like stay consistent, I think having a program before you go, to making sure like you have that full time that you're away, having a program set out, whether it's by your coach or if you do your own programming. Sign up to the gym as soon as you get there, day one, for the whole time you're there. So we signed up to maybe a week or two when you were there, and we went consistently because we'd paid the money. Yep. Whereas after that time, I was like, oh, I haven't really paid for a membership, so I'm not going to go.
No, we didn't keep paying for it because it was like $100 for the week. So
we went to
per week.
Hybrid HQ is cheaper than that for the week.
It is cheaper.
So I'd say that. And also I'd say, which we did, is go to the supermarket, buy some protein powder to get your protein in, because
that's a good shout actually.
Yeah. There's not a lot of like, or when we're in Bali, you can get added like protein and stuff on it. But like if you don't spend the money, or if you're eating less meals each day, then I reckon a protein shake.
I read that actually. That's smart. I've never thought about doing that. Sense.
What about you, Booger?
Well, I don't get to travel like you guys, so nah.
Here we go.
I've done my fair bit of traveling and training, kind of. So my biggest thing, and it's obviously so individualized and where you're at with your training, what you're training for, but I've never traveled for say 6 months or 12 months at a time. So I've always had the opportunity to go into a trip and be like, make that mental note and like psychologically tap into, this is a maintenance period for me. Like I'm not going out here and I'm not going to be training as much as what I usually would with the run work now. I actually enjoy running on holidays, so that it's more so like the weight training side of things. Yeah, like usually I'll train 4 or 5 times a week in the gym, but if I'm going on a break, like I just tell myself reasonable 2, maybe 3. Yep. Yeah. So I think achievability is like the number one. Don't expect to, unless you can make it work and like you want to do that when you're traveling. It's also priorities, right? So But yeah, that's probably my one thing.
Yeah, you're right. Depends on the trip, I suppose, and what your priorities are. I definitely agree with you. I'd say typically with us in our routine, all of us probably train around 5-6 times a week.
7 at the moment.
7. There you go.
But they are broken up between strength and running.
So around 5 to 7. So typically, if I look at going on holiday, I'll usually cut that in half most of the time. So 2 to 3 is usually that sweet spot that I try and aim for. Yeah. So it definitely just takes the pressure off, so you can actually still just relax and go and have fun if that's what you're planning to do for your trip. And like you said, still allow maintenance, because I think training, if you're doing good hard sessions, which when we were training in Bali, like we weren't just going in and kind of like fart-assing around. We're properly training. I think that's more than enough to maintain, especially over like a 2 to 4 week period.
100%.
And then you can, if you want to throw in more, you can just throw in more if you want to and have some fun with it. But the whole point is to have a little bit of a break from that structure and from that routine too. So my other piece of advice that works for me personally, especially when you're on holidays, is do it first thing in the morning. So either get up, and if you train fasted, then train as soon as you get up, and then you have the rest of the day, or get up, have some brekkie, have a coffee, whatever, and then go. Because I think when you're on holidays, the longer you leave it, if you go out and do stuff and then you want to come back and then you're like, oh, I still need to go and train, that's when it starts to feel a little bit more like more of an effort. And you set your day off, like you always feel better after you train. So you get the hard stuff done in the morning, and then you have the rest of the day to go and do what you want. That would be my piece of advice for it. So
makes sense. I reckon like on the eating side of things, I love the protein idea. I can't believe I've never done that. But I know that if I'm on a holiday, I'm probably going to eat more than what I usually would. But I'll actually just break that up and I generally don't eat until like 9, 10-ish anyway. But if I'm on a holiday, like I won't eat until maybe 10 or 11, and just have like a big feed, and then just generally have like a big afternoon/dinner feed.
Yeah.
So again, priorities. If your priority is going on a break and like just wanting to eat everything, just do it.
Yeah, I did that after you left, the last 2 weeks for me, I just went down to 2 meals a day. Still put on 4 kilos. So imagine what it would have been if I didn't cut down.
Even that Bali heat, moving, sweat.
But it was like I felt better. Like coming back now and getting back into my training, like I think it helped a lot, just cutting out that extra meal.
I'm a big fan of it. Like there's some days when I'm here that I'll only eat twice. As you always said.
When I'm away as well, like I just eat until I'm full too. I don't know like how much that ties into discipline, but if we go away, like if I know I want to try multiple things, then I'll have smaller meals at all of them, but I just eat until I'm full, not to just, it's almost like you want people push their eating further for the sake that they're on holidays, that they go, well, I'm on holidays, so I should go to the extremes of all things, because when I'm at home, I don't get the ability to do that. I'm like, you don't need to, like you can still go and enjoy it, and you have the break from tracking and, specific timing and cooking, but like just eat until you're full, and then when you're full and you're satisfied, just stop.
Yeah. It's such a funny
easier said than done.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a funny topic, because it's like, just do whatever the fuck you want. Like,
like at the end of the day,
work out what your priorities are. And if it's like going and enjoying heaps of food and heaps of beers and whatever, like that's what you want to do. As long as you're not hurting anyone, like do that thing.
Yeah. And I think set that intention early on. Like don't come back. Don't set that intention like before you go away. So say for the 6 weeks that I was away, I was like, I'm just not going to train. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to indulge. But then get back, and then if I'm kicking stones because I've put on weight,
100%.
It's like, well, you said you were going to.
Yeah, you're going to.
So it's like I don't care that I've put on weight. Like I was fully like going into that. I was like, I'm going to be heavier when I get back.
And that's so be it. It's so true. Fucking so true. Like just plan for it.
Yeah, that's the difference. If people come back and they're eating everything in sight, pushing force feed, and they come back, they go, oh my God, I put on so much weight. I feel like shit. When you could have put a plan in place like that of just training once or twice, or going for walks, or eating till you're full. If they stick to that, they come back sweet, happy days. It's the gap in between of where they were to where they are now is a lot smaller than them just going and then, but yeah, they come back and then start whinging about putting on a couple of excess kegs.
Fail to prepare to fail.
Yeah, not much you can do on that one.
No, absolutely not. All right, boys, even though I've missed pretty much half of the first quarter,
it's good to have you in control again.
Pulling this back in the week when we keep talking shit.
All right, Q1 done for the year.
Yeah, fully.
3 months down.
Wow, holy smokies, that's gone quickly.
So we're going to run over updates on our goals. So if you can remember what we set for our goals, have you got any new ones?
Yep.
I can start as if you need.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Because I've pretty much redone mine, obviously coming back from holidays. So I've got a 10-week program I'm going to do before I go on holidays again.
This motherfucker.
Sounds so shit. Are you writing down these tips we're giving you up when you're training on holidays?
Yeah. I'll listen to it on the way over.
Listen to it on the way over, yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
So pretty much execute on the 10-week program. So no missed days. I've got some testing stuff that I want to do before and after. And then get back to committing to post on social media twice a week. Just for my business side of things. And they're just the two that I want to do. So commit to training, commit to posting, both, and then just 10 weeks of that.
Both achievable, both very measurable too.
Yep.
Like it.
Simple footy, I like it.
Fucking simple footy.
Simple footy.
That is mine. Well, since the last time we spoke about it, I have committed to a half marathon. So I'll be taking that on at the Bay,
Hectic.
which I'm excited for. Jaydon's been coaching me on it, which has been good fun. Learning new things, like especially how to program the running side of things, which has been exciting. But it feels good. Like I never thought I'd get to the point of having run work as a part of my weekly routine that frequently. Excuse me, don't know what's going on.
Smokes.
So that's good. I think one of our goals was definitely growing the gym and like the member base, which we are more than the 50. We're like approaching 60 now, which is really sick. And then I had some like specific goals for the key journal, like the amount of hours that we want to serve. And even since that point, Jaydon's come on and he's taken sessions and working with our clients there and getting fucking awesome feedback, by the way. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So yeah, I think training wise, my biggest focus is definitely in the half marathon. Knock that out of the way and then I'll just put a plan in place after that.
Have you done one before?
Never. I'm still yet to run more than 12 kilometers.
Oh, really?
But we still got like 10 weeks.
Oh yeah, you'll be going further than that in this second phase of this block.
Yeah. Yeah, looking forward to it. Like the tempo runs off and just let me do zone 2 all the time. I'll be happy.
Oh, you'll get there, mate. 4 more weeks and you'll get there. Stick out those tempos a little bit longer. Actually, they're going to be around for quite a bit, but
This morning was good. It was like super early and cold though. So that first 5-minute warm up, just nice and easy. Like I needed that anyway to actually just get my body going.
for running first thing in the morning is going to be where you get ideally the most consistent in terms of your heart rate and pace and everything like that. The temperature, sleep, there's so many different things that can affect, there's so many variables that can affect what your perceived rate of exertion is or how hard the run is, feels, how high your heart rate goes. There's so many variables, but
It's actually a good point because I was running for the working part. I was running between 5:10 and 5:30s for 35 minutes, and my heart rate at the end of it, obviously factoring the warm up cool down, was like 152, I think.
it's pretty good.
Yeah, I was happy with that. But I'm just basing off what I've done previously, knowing that my heart rate doesn't usually sit around that.
Yeah.
But I always run midday or arvo. So
Yeah. Well, that was my first run back. I did in the afternoon. So I ran at a 7-minute pace and my heart rate was 160. And then I ran that in the morning at a 6-minute pace, so a whole minute quicker. And my heart rate was 154. So 5 beats just from the time of day there.
that's so interesting, eh? Yeah. Top tip there, yeah.
Cool part of coaching, because I used to program majority, if not all of my runs very heart rate based, because knowing what their heart rate was in regardless of where their pace was allowed me to focus on the specific adaptations that I was trying to get. Like if you program because you're trying to get adaptations being in zone 2, but you're running and you're constantly going up into zone 3 and 4, then the adaptations we're looking for, you're not going to get. In saying that though, I actually had a conversation with, I think he's based in Cronulla, Evolve Performance, and I was asking him questions with running and we were talking back and forth, and I was reading a couple of articles as well in terms of how it can be a very inaccurate way to do it as well, because pace is a massive factor, and especially if you've got goal times for your runs. And because of so many variables like that can affect your heart rate, if you just go off that alone, then you never actually get to work in those zones.
That's true.
And the big part of it as well is there's a massive part of heart rate lag too. So actually getting into the zones, particularly when you're working in shorter durations of intervals, like your zone 4s and zone 5s, by the time you actually get up to the working zone based off your heart rate, it might be 30 or 40 seconds into that interval. So
I can attest to that.
Yeah, that 20 or 30 seconds. And it doesn't always get there as well. So as opposed to if you're basing it off power or watts or even just perceived effort. Like I know PSO loves doing like the easy, medium, hard.
Yeah.
You can go from running easy to running hard in a couple of seconds. So when you look at things like that, I've changed the way I've programmed a lot too. I still have incorporate heart rate based ones to ensure that I'm getting those adaptations, but I've changed it around a bit, which is cool from a coaching standpoint because you're always learning and figuring out better and different ways. And I've noticed a massive change in my clients' response to their training and then their overall pace, and then their heart rate ends up falling into place from doing that now too.
Yeah, I agree. I think like programming for, I think that's why it's cool to program for running or endurance based stuff. And why I love it is because like it's so, it gets to like test you as a coach because like you're saying, like if someone can't run in the morning and they only run in the arvo and they're like, my heart rate's jacked all the time, a coach has to sort of be like, well, there's a reason behind that. Let's change it. So like if I have anyone that can't run in the morning, I'll always just go off how they feel.
Yeah.
So I'll never use heart rate based stuff for someone who's like, say, a tradie going to work for 8 hours a day. Like they've already done 15,000 steps.
Yeah, so true.
So much effort into their day. It's like, all right, go for a run, make it feel easy, make it feel hard.
I think you can definitely start incorporating heart rate work more when the individual gets more advanced with their running, because then their level of fitness falls into that as well. Because there's a psychological buy-in too, which I've seen with clients as well. Like you start people just purely based off heart rate and they're running at such a pace that feels so slow, it can be really disheartening. They're like, I feel like I'm like getting less fit. Like I feel like I'm going backwards because I'm having to run slower and slower just to get into that zone. I definitely think there's a time and place for that, but I like that approach as well. The PSO just get them to run easy, like make it feel easy. And then once they start getting to that point where you can start to get numbers on the board, you can probably start to implement it here and there if it's necessary.
And there's so many different ways to coach endurance. Like it's so good. Like coaches will have different point of views, what works for them, what works for their clients. And it's like, there's so many different things that can work, which is so cool. You get to try different ways.
100%.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to it. Like even when you have a consistent stimulus, say if you use an assault runner or a treadmill or whatever, even that, like I was doing 2.5, maybe 3 minute intervals, but it was taking before I got my heart rate monitor, it was taking probably 30 seconds, and before that heart rate started to like really climb up and tick. And I mean that's going to end up impacting the purpose behind why we're doing what we're doing if it's taking that long. Right?
Well, then total effort in that zone, what you're trying to hit's only a minute and a half, 2 minutes, as opposed to 2.5, 3 minutes. It makes a massive difference. If you're doing that over 5, 6, 7 rounds or whatever it is, it's a massive amount of time. Like it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah. It's another good point too, is like have the heart rate monitor. Like if you, like, cause I've got the Whoop as well. When I track with my heart rate monitor through my watch, my Whoop often is about 10 to 15 beats less. So it's not as well.
Really?
Yeah. So the other day, like I was at for 154 for my run, and my Whoop said I was at like 142.
Really?
So it's like off. So everyone thinks, oh, sweet, I'm running in zone 2, but I'm sort of at top end.
Yeah, proper. Maybe I need to get Whoop.
No, I'm saying the heart rate monitor is more accurate because it's closer.
Oh, sorry, gotcha.
So I'm saying like people go off their watch and they're like, oh, sweet, I've been in a zone, doing zone 2 runs or high zone 3 runs. And they're not actually because their heart rate's actually 10 to 15 beats higher.
They don't realise that, which is another factor in terms of when programming for heart rate too, something you need to be mindful. I mean, at the end of the day, you can go off it that it's relative, like if they're doing the same off the same watch, but exactly what PSO is saying, if you're trying to get these adaptations specifically going off heart rate and the whole time they're in a zone 3 or like threshold heart rate as opposed to like just pure aerobic, it's irrelevant regardless. They're like,
it feels so hard, and you're like, well, it says you're in zone 2, but
just get fitter.
No, it's supposed to feel like this. It's sweet. What about you? Goals?
Yeah, good. I haven't looked at mine over. I've got a few that I've broken up. Holes. Good. There we go. More my performance ones were, I wanted to do a 10K run again, which was at the start of the year. Not for time, but that was just injury free, which I did with PSO and Reese. Still want to do a half marathon, and I still want to do a 5K under 20 minutes. So a big part of with my training now is just getting myself to this holistic approach, I suppose, in the sense of being able to handle a level of volume that I'm happy with, being able to do multiple disciplines. So that hybrid approach, so still being able to hold my strength, hold a certain level of size and aesthetics, which I'm still finding where that is. You blokes want to help out anytime, that'd be fantastic.
You look pretty fucking good.
I haven't seen the shirt.
I reckon you'll see.
Keen for winter. But the big one will be a half marathon as well. I haven't planned a specific event or anything like that, but that's definitely something that I want to tick off. So I'm just building up the running volume again, getting past those little injuries that were popping up and down. For the most part, I just want to get to a point where I can do these things and not be in pain. Like longevity is a massive thing that's starting to creep in more and more now with my training. But
Agreed.
they're my main ones. And then, yeah, we just got a couple with the gym, which you touched on, very similar with those two. So that's my focus at the moment. A lot more running based ones.
Have you run a half marathon before?
No. Not that I can remember. Not maybe unintentionally, but
Must be nice.
not unintentionally.
Yeah.
Maybe that tracking, maybe running home from a night on the piss or something. Running home from Woodies.
Uber's too expensive.
Uber's too expensive. Bums asleep. Yeah.
Can confirm I've done that, but haven't actually tracked a half marathon. So maybe.
Maybe. Piss one. Right, boys, got a few things thinking up over around here.
Huge.
Why? I think we've talked about this before, but why the fuck do people stand up straight away as soon as the plane lands? Where are you going?
It's a good point. It's actually a good chat.
Like, where are you going?
I don't know.
The doors haven't opened. We're still on the tarmac, unless you want
And they get a little bit like trying to step forward, a little bit antsy, trying to grab their stuff and rubbing against it. And it's like, man, we're not.
And then a lot of people get more annoyed because they stand up behind you and then they know they have to let you out to get their bags. And then they're almost like, but like, just
sit down.
You have to get off the plane anyway. So then they're like more annoyed because they're standing there like, oh, just go. And you're like, what do you mean just go? Like, that's the process. You have to let people in front of you go.
When we landed, we didn't have like a gate to go to, so we're just like sitting on the tarmac, and people are standing there like, and I'm like, just sit back down.
Yeah, no.
I love it when they stand up like that and the plane gets held up for like an hour and they commit to it. Like,
I know.
Sit back down.
They don't want to be that person.
For the hour. Following that, something that this isn't even a frustration. This is an ick. When the plane lands and someone on the plane claps.
You know, I reckon they've done a really good job in saving our lives and transporting us across the world.
Like when you land and they clap, I'm like, what were you expecting to happen? Like, were you not
Just doing your job?
Were you not expecting?
I was coming back from Thailand, and the day that we left, I ate this octopus because I was like, bit of street food in Thailand. Like, how good? It's gotta be sweet, mate. This thing fucked my whole life. Like, I was shitting and vomiting like at the same time. I had to go to the bathroom, and I was literally shitting and vomiting at the same time.
On the plane?
On the plane. And I was with my ex at the time, and she was sitting up like halfway at the plane. I had to move to the back of the plane because I was in shambles. So I was like, I had to be next to the toilet. I tried to land in the toilet.
I bet you closed the door after you did the shit.
Yeah. See last week's episode for that chat. Anyway, mate, I'm not gonna lie. When we landed that plane, I clapped.
No, you didn't.
I clapped because I was dying. I said, "Get me off." I said, "I need to get off now. My insides are cooked."
Oh, you didn't do that.
I sat there like this.
Such an ick.
Get me off.
No, it's happened to me a few times. People clap and I have to exit. Living.
I think everyone else clapped because they were like, thank fuck we don't have to sit next to this kid anymore. Get him off.
Stinking up the fucking plane.
Oh, that was the most sick I've ever been. Yeah, that's a good one.
I've also got a problem with Apple. AirPods aren't noise cancellation.
No,
I have babies crying, could hear it the whole time.
Do you have the
no
noise cancellation?
I have kids on planes.
Have you got the noise?
Yeah, noise cancellation ones. And I put it on. I was like, sweet, it's going to be sorted. This kid, I'm not going to hear this kid at all. Could hear it.
I'm telling you, Dre Beats, the earbuds, noise cancelling, can't hear a thing, bro. I wore them instead of like just normal like plugs. And you can put them on transparent so you can hear through them or noise cancel.
Yeah, these ones do the same, but maybe I just didn't have it on.
No, you got to.
You can actually toggle it on and off. So maybe you
could also. I couldn't turn it off.
I have great success with my Apple AirPods.
AirPods don't stay in
Sounds
my
like a
ears.
me problem.
We'll have a look after when we get out of it.
They don't stay in my ears, AirPods. Never been good for me.
Get better ears. I don't know.
I'll look into it. They're pretty cute though.
They are cute.
I've got one more.
Piezo's
Come on.
Piezo's been sitting.
No, it's not.
I'm never going to get on a plane again.
Piezo's sitting on holidays, racking this shit up, putting it down podcast notes, going, I need to talk to the boys about this.
When I was at a restaurant, and it's like us as tourists, like we're in their country, like they speak their language, right? Why do people get annoyed when they can't understand you and you're not speaking their language? Like, you should learn their language. So like this lady's like, she's like, no, I want this, and it's like, well, learn their language.
That is fucking. You know where I experienced that? Shelter. You know the Heaps Nice restaurant in Bali. Oh my god, there was this these girls that were friends, and they were so fucking rude to the wait staff and like demand and clicking. They clicked her to come over, and I was sitting there, and I went by myself, so I was sitting there at this table, and I'm just like, there's no way that these chicks are acting like that, like so pretentious, so entitled.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Bro, that happened to us that night when we went out to get, where was it from? The Japanese place. When the night before there.
When I was sick.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We went there. Same thing. There's like a group of like 5 girls sitting at the table, and they were like full like over, and they're like, we ordered this, and she couldn't understand, and they were getting so frustrated that she couldn't understand. I'm like, bro, that's your fault.
Yeah.
That's
Literally
not their fault.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought
when
about
you go
that.
like overseas and people fall into that like hierarchy of like, I'm superior, they're inferior, they're serving me. I'm like, I hate that, man.
And it's like place like Bali, like third world country. So that's how a lot of people would travel there, and they would feel like that. Like I'm spending all this money, like I'm superior. Fuck off. Fuck off.
It was. And
We
my,
felt-
my
I felt
temper. I was
guilty.
reading.
Piso was ready to throw.
I feel guilty.
Piso started Muay Thai in Thailand.
I feel guilty when I go to places like that and they're doing so much for you and they're so friendly. I'm like, no, that's all right. Like, just leave it. It's all sweet. Like, I don't want them to go to the extra thinking they need to. But I know some people would definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah. Oh man, there's these women, the two that were sitting next to me. I'm telling you, if I ever track them down, I'm gonna have a stern chatting to them and say, listen, need a bit of respect about you.
Yeah, that's all it is. Hey, it's like no
In their language, Brigger.
Which
I'm
I
sure it's in their language.
Yeah, because you know you eavesdrop when you're at. Naturally, everyone eavesdrops. They were chatting, and like it was broken English, but it sounded maybe like Russian or something as well. And then I was like, I better not say something that might not end well.
Plenty of Russians in Bali food.
Plenty.
There are. I didn't know that.
Heaps.
All right. Anything else we want to touch on?
I probably shouldn't keep ranting, so.
They were fucking good points.
They were good points.
Did you actually think on those points when you were in Bali and going, I need to chat about this?
I was like, this is coming up.
Think about that. Our beautiful listeners. Piso's, whilst he's on holidays, he's thinking about the podcast and providing value.
That's been brewing for like 3 weeks. Just to get that off my chest.
You look like you wanted to get it off the chest.
I'm going to give you one to think about what I've been thinking about heaps. I'm obsessed with it at the moment. While we leave this podcast, have a think about in your conversations. Notice how many times you use the terrible connective words of and are. And every time you go to do it, try not to and see what happens.
That's me.
I am obsessed with it at the moment. I was talking to Reese about it today and he couldn't speak because he kept trying to. And every time he thought of it, he went to do it.
I like to think about it being a part of the message that I'm delivering. So if I say,
There you go.
it's like I was using an example, that it builds just a little bit of suspense. Like, what's he about to say? Nothing to do with me being illiterate.
Yeah, you hear people like, if you hear people that don't use it though, how much they own the room.
They own the room and it sounds so much more formal. They sound like they know what they're talking about. Whereas I go and I'm like, and yeah, and I'm like, spit it out, bro.
Yeah, well, luckily we're fucking not formal at all. We're three.
I just want you to just have a think about it over the next couple of days, all right? Go into your conversations, pick up on it, have a little
There's a
count.
few friends here.
I will.
That sounds good.
Signing off. Who wants to do it?
Give it a pierce. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I reckon
Gotta
he's
open
probably
and close.
toey.
Open
Yeah.
and close. Thank you for listening to episode 17. If you want to reach out, you can look at our socials, the Hybrid Headquarters, www.hybridheadquarters.com.au.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you want to email, because people still do that, I think, you can email us at info@thehybridhq. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
.com.au.
info@thehybridhq.com.au. Fuck, he's good.
Fantastic. He remembers it.
Still remember it.
Feels good. Good energy. The band's back together.
Yeah, that was good.
See ya.